What is the best advice you ever been given?
She said, Mark, be nice. And that was it. That was all she ever said. Be nice. Best piece of advice I ever got.
What if?
What if is the worst. That's
What
the one.
if is the worst?
You don't want a what if. I don't have a what if with music. That's why I was able to let it go. And it's just constant growth. If you're not growing, you're obviously stagnant and people will just zoom on by you. But if you're not willing to do the hard work, you've no right to complain about. In a society that we live in today, either you program your brain or your brain will be programmed for you.
Welcome to the 20th episode.
20, number 20.
Yes, of In Full Effect.
Nice, okay.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support so far. It's been great. Today we have a very special man in his house.
In my house, yeah.
Yeah. My buddy Mark, my gym buddy, my, I don't know, how do we say this? Many good moments.
Wise guide.
Wise guide through life. Welcome.
Thanks, buddy. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be an interesting experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, how long has it been? Have you been on camera like this?
Well, I suppose with the last 2 years being the way they were, it's been a couple of years for sure.
Nice.
Last time I was on camera would be Croatia, 2019.
Dang.
That was a good...
Partying in Croatia.
Partying in Croatia for the summer, yeah. Good time.
Yeah.
Doing the MC for the EDM festivals over there.
Yeah, I've been missing them as well, especially now the summer kicked in. And
Summer's here.
And I see all my friends back home like partying.
Especially where you're from.
Yeah.
Where you're from is a big party part of the world.
Yeah, 100%. Tell a bit about yourself. Who are you?
Who am I? Good question. Obviously, my name is Mark. I'm from Ireland. I've had a somewhat eclectic life of adventures. And I've been in Vietnam for the last 4 years. And that's been one of the most interesting and revolutionary kind of times of my life. Lots changed. A lot has changed since I got here. For the better. Mm-hmm. All for the better, honestly. And Vietnam has definitely gained a very special place in my heart and always will be there. So I actually recently just decided I've got, as you can see, lots of tattoos. Mm-hmm. And there's one space left on my arm here. It's been blank for maybe since 2014, I'd say. And I haven't had anything done because I'm running out of real estate. And I was like, what am I going to get done? What am I going to get done? And it just hit me recently. I was like, I think Vietnam deserves a spot. So we're going to fill in the last part of my arm with something to do with Vietnam.
Are they all like little pieces put together, or is it like one big piece?
There's a lot of different ones. For the most part, this sleeve is one tattoo, like all the outside part. Mm. But they're all kind of individual. Pick them up along the way. Through life stories here and there. And the one thing, looking back, I don't regret any tattoo I've got, but I do regret the time space that I got them in. Because I hung out with a lot of tattoo artists and, it was just a very cool time of life. Just tattoos and hanging out and partying and things like that. And I would have definitely spread it out over a few more years because I did get them done. The majority of them done quickly. And then I have the last tattoo I got was 2015. It's 2022 now, so.
7 years.
Big chest piece done by the lion by a really amazing Polish artist, Marcin Sonski. He's a fantastic artist. He paints these really mind-bending horror paintings, like on big scale. And I was asking him one day, I was like, where do you get these ideas, dude? And he's like, my dreams. It's like, what?
What are you smoking?
Yeah, man. Well, he's like a focused tattoo artist. He just has really interesting dreams, it seems, But they were really cool paintings. Really cool paintings.
Nice. What do you do?
What do I do? Good question. Currently, I've been teaching English here in Vietnam for the last 4 years. Something I never imagined that I'd do. Never imagined I'd be living here, which is the magical part about it. Mm-hmm. But I've always enjoyed teaching people things, but never thought I'd be teaching English. And I took to it really quickly, enjoyed it, and found it as honestly one of the most rewarding jobs that I've ever done. Recently, when I left Vietnam last September, went to America for 4 months, and after that went back to Ireland. I was walking up the street with one of my best friends and just randomly walked into my old English teacher, an old man, Philip Ryan. And I said to him, buddy, I said, hang on a second, I gotta go over here. I walked across the street and I said to him, do you remember me? And he said, give me a minute. He was just looking at me. And I said, Mark. And he goes, Mark O'Connor, I remember you. And I goes, I just wanted to come over and say thank you very much for everything you did for me. And I wanted to let you know that I'm an English teacher now in Vietnam. And you could see his eyes welled up a little bit. He was really happy I told him that, and just shook his hand and let him go about his day. But it was really cool. I got to see him. I hadn't seen him in, what am I at, 35? So more than nearly 18 years or whatever it was since I last saw him. So it was really cool to run into him.
Cool.
35 now, dude, getting old, yeah.
Getting old. I was like turned 27. I'm like, ugh.
27, you got a few more years before things start creaking.
Yeah, you creaking.
As soon as you hit 30, you're like, your knees are like, dude, you got a few more years max before we start giving you trouble.
So before Vietnam, what were you doing then? Like we were talking about Croatia before, but...
Yeah, I had a taste for music when I was younger. Started when I was like 17. I went to college, started emceeing the nightclub for the students. And then my friends just told me you should write some rap music and stuff like that. So I said, absolutely, let's do that, try that. Tried it, wrote a few songs. They got big in the town I was in because we were performing them at the nightclub. And then I just had this idea as a young fella that I was always like wanting to be commercial because I was young. You know, success is a different thing to young people than it is to as you're older. And I just decided I'm going to write something catchy. I'm going to write something commercial, and I'm going to write something that's unmistakably Irish. So I contacted a fella who I knew produced beats, and I said, can you make me this idea? I have this idea of like a St. Patrick's Day kind of anthem, real kind of party vibe. So he sent me back a beat about a week or two later, and I'll never forget it, I wrote the song in about 15 or 20 minutes, the whole thing. It just came out really quickly. So I then went and recorded it, like a rough recording with some recording equipment that I had. And in 2016, no, what am I talking about? 2008, so we're going back, way back. 2008, I was in my house back in my hometown, and I knew a friend who I used to perform with in the nightclub. He was the DJ. But he was also a radio DJ for a regional part of Ireland. And he texted me and said, do you mind if I play that song? And I just went, fine, right? No problem, work away, do it. But this is back in the day of like, iTunes wasn't big and stuff like that. It was ringtones. That's how you used to download songs.
Yeah.
You'd text it and you'd get the ringtone.
Yeah, and even
MP3 file.
Like Bluetooth everything. And
exactly, you'd be like, send me that song, and you'd Bluetooth the MP3, right? That's how the things were done. And CDs were still big, funny enough. Back in 2008, CDs were still big. And a few minutes later, after he played the song, he called me back and he said that song has crashed the text lines and the call lines. He's like, you better figure out how you're gonna get that out there. Like, so we got a couple of laptops, started printing CDs, just
old school shit.
Old school, dude. We had like hundreds of these things done. And then I started getting booked for shows. The song got really popular in Ireland, and it was mad.
How is it that I never heard any of them?
It was a big thing in Ireland, like for St. Patrick's Day. It didn't really get outside Ireland. It was like totally unexpected. It wasn't planned or nothing, and it blew up. So that kind of got me into more gigs and performing, emceeing at nightclubs and EDM things and stuff like that. And then I got called from Croatia. It was an old DJ friend of mine was DJing there. And he said, I know this guy, you could call him in Ireland. They called me over.
And what festival was this?
That first one.
Was in Sighet, huh?
No, it was in
because that's,
Zrče.
that's Budapest anyway.
It was in Zrče beach, which is like the Ibiza of Croatia. So they said, come over, do Spring Break Festival for 4 days. I did that, I flew home. They called me 2 days later and said, can you come back for 2 weeks? And I said, sure. So I went back. And then kind of life just took over. I ended up moving to Canada for a couple of years. So yeah, I've bounced all over the place and had a great time of it. And but I do think now at 35, and I've got a different set of goals of what I want to do. The idea of being even remotely famous for music or anything like that does not interest me at all. It just doesn't interest me the way.
But would you still play music? Like, you want to still be in doing it?
Performing on stage, there's nothing like it, you know. Either you go on stage in front of 2,000 people or 500 people even, and if you know what you're doing with a microphone, you'll have the best time of your life because everybody's partying with you. It's your job to keep the energy really high. DJ is going to pick the tracks and you're going to keep the energy high and make sure everybody has a good time. So being the master of ceremonies, as they call it, MC, it's super fun job, but as I've got older, super hard on the knees.
Yeah.
Because I'll be in I was in Croatia for 8 weeks and I did 60 something shows, I think it was, like, you know, sometimes 2 a day. Do the after beach, which is 4 to 8. Then I go on stage again from 11 till 2 or 3 or whatever, and it's all EDM. So you're jumping.
That's why, huh?
Yeah. So
that's why that knee
I'll
can't
strap
follow.
them up if they give me a call to go again. I'll strap them up and
one last
See,
ride.
that's the thing. I'd like to do one last one because I did it in 2019, and then sure we all know what happened then and cancelled everybody's summer for the next couple of years.
Yeah, because I remember meeting you in 2019. I think because we met quite early. We kind of arrived here similar times, no?
I came in 2018, April 1st, 2018.
Okay, I came a year later.
Right.
But I met you quite early in, and I knew you were planning or wanting to go back to Croatia to do that stuff, and then that summer didn't happen.
Summer didn't happen. I can see all my friends there now, and I'm not very jealous anymore. Like I said, my life is really good. I have a really good life, and while it's fun to do, it's damn hard work. Like, it's a lot of
It's a lot of these things.
People think it's awesome, but
I used to love backpacking and all of that stuff, and then now I'm like,
backpacking seems like fun, but I don't know if it'd be my kind of fun.
Yeah.
But
it's the experience that was really fun, the exploring, the
Absolutely.
meeting the people and stuff like that. But right now, I can't imagine myself laying in a dorm room with 8 people again, or going out drinking every night, or and then and I'm only 27. I'm complaining already, you know.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Those kind of things are fun for a short time, and then, but you know, people who do it for years.
And I guess it's also like a time and place, you know.
For sure.
You're younger. I mean, although I met a lot of people in their 30s that were still backpacking as well. I'm like,
and I'm all for going on an adventure in your 30s, dude. If you get an opportunity, for example, like we had the lockdown here, remember?
Yeah.
And we stuck it out all summer, but then had an opportunity to go to the US to meet my fiance's family, and had 3 months with them. And I was like, when am I ever going to living over in Asia? When am I ever going to get 3 months with my partner's
without
family
other responsibilities somewhere else?
And get to know them, you know? And actually, so they know me, I know them. And there was a few little silver linings through the whole 2 years. Got to spend 4 months at home. What's going on with you? How busy are you? How happy are you?
I'm very happy. Yeah. No, doing a lot of exploring, and I'm telling people now I'm on a personal development journey.
Which is good.
Yeah, because it's also like a mental switch, you know, not saying like, oh yeah, I read a book here and there, or no, it's like I'm actively working on shit.
Absolutely, yeah. I've been trying to do that myself for years, like just read more books or watch more things, learn more things. I don't like wasting too much time.
So I was recently reading The Compound Effect, and obviously it's the obvious thing of like, okay, do a little bit every day to get results, but it's easier said than done, you know, because all these little things usually don't show results immediately. So it's very difficult to stay motivated. But reading about it and then having the breakdown of everything and examples and stuff like that gives you the confidence in doing it often or doing it every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just trust the process.
When you see things on paper kind of makes it more, because it's all, you can have so many ideas in your head. But like, that's why I like journaling in the morning, writing whatever, just writing something. And then I'll write the missions, I like to call them. I just basically plan my day by the hour, write my missions. And then I'll always write 5 things I'm grateful for. Yeah. And then if I have phone calls, because you know the way when you live across the world, you have to, I got to call this person, I got to check in with this person, I got to call my mom and things like that. So I'll write those there. But I find that writing something down on paper would really, even if it's like, you know, when you're journaling, you're maybe journaling from the day before, maybe something bothered you, and you're writing it down, and then you're kind of like, you see it on paper, oh, it's not that bad, or what am I, like, whatever, like, you know, it can change how you think, how you see things. So
I still need to get into like the full-fledged journaling. I got a book donated or gifted last year called the 5-Minute Journal.
Yeah.
And it's basically like, what are you grateful for? 3 of them. What would be a good day today? So that's the first half, and then you do it as well in the evening. What has been good this day, or what have you been grateful this day? And what could have been better this day?
That question like sounds like a simple question.
It's so difficult.
What's a good day? Like if you ask most people that question, like what's a good day to you? They really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Because most people's day is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And you do a lot of the same, you spend a lot of the day. So you spend 6-7 hours sleeping. Say the other tasks that you do work are 8 hours, but there's other things that you do, little things that all add up to maybe 2 hours of your day.
Yeah.
If you don't do those things right 2 hours every day of your life, is something that you should definitely master.
And it doesn't even have to be 2 hours. Like I said, I just started really habit track myself. And I started with this watch, right? And obviously we not compete, but like keep each other accountable. You double your thing. But we keep each other accountable on it, right? And so every day I try to fill these rings. And one is calories, so it's how much you move basically and how your average heart rate basically in a day and long enough. Then the other one is the amount of exercise, and the other one is standing up every hour.
Yep.
And that's only 3 things, but that got me thinking. Plus I was reading all about compounding effects, so 1% better every day, or even little things that you would think like, oh, that's not gonna make a difference. I'm gonna start doing that. And things like read every day, listen to audiobooks every day, drink this amount of water every day, like keep yourself accountable for things like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I started make a new contact. So either it's for business, either it's for the podcast, either it's for personal, like you want to reach out to a new friend, not like that, but like something new, somebody new every day, because it pushes you out of your comfort zone as well and keeps you accountable. That's a
pretty like a big goal to have, to meet somebody new every day.
Doesn't have to be meet, but contact. So it could be
contact, like somebody
could be an email, could be a text, could be a phone call.
Okay. Right, that's a bit more achievable.
It's very difficult.
Like to go out and meet somebody, like
stand on the street and like
pick a random, you come here.
Who you? and now I only started doing this for a couple of weeks. But the mistakes I made before was trying to overhaul my whole schedule and do the right thing from the start.
Right.
But if you do radical changes from the beginning, it might not fit, or it might not be the right thing.
Yeah.
So now what I do is I do small steps. So, okay, I have these 5 habits in place. This is working for a few weeks, so let's add something new. I'm gonna do these kind of exercises every day and make sure I have them done every day. The next step is I'm gonna even contact 2 people every day, or I'm gonna get up at 6 a.m. instead of 6:30 a.m. Things like that, right? And the crazy thing is I've been seeing results after only a few weeks.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure.
Like rejuvenated, feel way more energized, more creative because I'm reading more. Because I'm also like not journaling, but like making notes with the books you do, and then I can research the next day because I usually read in the evening. Things like that.
But you're reading books and you're seeing new ideas that you might not have thought of before, and you're like, oh, that sparks creativity, you know?
Yeah.
Or you might see, I was only having this discussion today, you might see an idea that you had, but you couldn't vocalize it, or you couldn't, and then you see it in words and you're like, now you got a better grasp of it, you know? So there's a lot of the good things that come from books. I found my vocabulary increased greatly, because, you know, you're reading books and you'd be like, what's that word? And you just pick your phone up and
Yeah.
Really cool word.
Yeah, I even started meditating because obviously I've been doing this podcast for a few months now. And I've been talking to a lot of people that do a lot of personal development and even coach personal development. And they all meditate. And I was like,
It's got to be something.
it's not for me. It's so silly. It's like I started doing it this week and it just blew my mind. It's because I was overthinking it. I was like, oh, you need to
not think. People think that you need to not think, and that is meditation, but it's not.
It's not. It's focus on your breath, focus on the feeling in your hands, whatever it is. Because I use an app as well, Medito.
Yeah, I use an app too, but like all it is you're just stopping everything and you're being present for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And when you're being present, thoughts are going to come in and you're going to go, there's a thought. All right, cool. Back to breath.
Yeah.
And you go back
I even had a moment yesterday at the barber. I was at the barber, music was blasting, people were talking, and there was so much going on. The razor was going over my head, and there was so much signals input, and it was like getting anxiety a little bit because it was like overwhelming. Okay, close eyes, and was just focusing on my breath, just for a minute or two.
Just go back in.
And it was like, okay.
Yeah, you can get overstimulated for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely have like hypersensitivity.
Yeah.
So now I found a way to deal with that.
Reset everything and bring it back down. Yeah, meditation is great. I've been doing it I think I started in Canada, so we're talking 2015. So I started doing meditation and I was not so good at it, but with practice you do get better. There was one time when I lived here and just after I arrived here, I was doing it in my apartment, and one of the only times ever I genuinely had like what felt like an out-of-body experience. I was above myself looking down on the bed and I could see me, and then that was like trippy. But if you really want to do a good meditation, get yourself like 60 minutes in a sensory deprivation tank.
Yeah.
And then just sit in there and breathe through it. And when everything shuts off, and it's just you in the blackness, you can't feel the water, there's no noise, your brain just goes, oh, we got nothing to do, let's mix something up. And like I start seeing all these mad colors. You'll see colors like, well, it's different for everybody, I'm sure. But I saw like colors appearing in the kind of corner, your peripherals, right? You see these like fireworks in the blackness. You're like, well, that's not normal because I'm definitely in a black thing. My eyes are wide open. But after you get good at it, I was like having full-on hallucinations, like full-on visuals. I was walking through a room, walking towards French doors with like curtains like these, like blowing. The door is a little bit open. And as I got to the doors, I opened the doors and I walk out, and I was in the Amazon jungle with some like tribal people. And at that point I got a bit freaked out because I was like, because I was in a pod in Vancouver. And I knew I was in a pod in Vancouver, but I was seeing something different. Yeah. And when you get good at those sensory deprivation things, they can be a lot of fun, man. Like it's when you come out, the energy.
I haven't tried yet.
You got to try it. There's one here and there in District 2, I'm pretty sure, unless.
What I like to do, and I remember doing this as a kid, when you close your eyes and you try to see the blackness, like focus, like literally try to focus on your eyelids that close and trying to look into it, and then your thoughts immediately go somewhere else.
Interesting.
And it's like trying to get back to that every time.
Isn't it funny that the little games you play as a kid in your own head, like you make up all these like mad, like I can see through my eyelids, or like all these crazy things that
So now, like with meditation, I try to do that as well. Like you can focus on your breathing, but I try to focus on that. And like you see some light coming through your eyelids, but also if it's darker, you just see the blackness. But it's very difficult to, when your eyes are closed, to visually focus on something.
Visually focus on black, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So try that next time.
How long do you normally meditate for then? Like 10, 15 minutes?
No, not at all even. Because I literally only started this week.
So like 3
minutes, 5 minutes. Yesterday was the longest 5 minutes.
That's good. That's perfect. Because starting off, people think, I got to sit there for 30 minutes.
No.
So you can do like as much as you want to do.
That's what it, again, is like that scare me, because it was too big of a chunk or a challenge to go through. But then I realized I literally started with 1 minute. And actually the reason I started is with this Apple Watch, it is mindfulness.
Yeah.
And it's like breathe. And I'm like, okay, now I realized that the rhythm on this breathing is not as good. So I went with an app.
You just got slow. Like,
yeah.
slow
but
it down.
it vibrates the way you have to breathe. Maybe you can turn it off.
Yeah, you can turn it.
Okay.
But you can follow it like you said. It's a slower breath. You're meant to take 4 seconds in.
Yeah,
I think
know.
it's 4 seconds, something along that.
Either way. So it's something I tried to explore. It's very interesting.
Breathing is good for you. It's free as well. So.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. And we all need to be doing it. So everybody should be meditating for sure. The world might be a bit calmer than it is now.
Yeah.
And it is intimidating when you start because, as we were saying, people think what meditating is not thinking, but it's not that. It's the act of being present for a few minutes for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I tell people when we're talking about meditation, I'm like, there's 24 hours in a day, and if you can't get 5 minutes to yourself,
yeah, it's crazy. I started
schedule rearranging,
Because I think before I started doing these habits, I was so focused on always having to work. If I'm not doing work, I'm not doing anything, and it's so wrong. Because now I work less, but more intense. And in between I do other things that are important. Instead of trying to work 10 hours and 5 hours of that trying to work, but having no success with it.
Actually using less time, but more effectively kind of a thing. Instead of just doing, I did 10 hours, but really I only did.
Because sometimes I sit before my computer and I'm like, okay, I need to do something. What do I need to do?
Can I do something?
Literally sometimes I'm like, what do I do now?
That's where, like I was saying, in your journal, the list comes in.
Planning, that's also one of my next steps I want to get into.
Yeah, my favorite thing during the day, after I come back halfway through the day, is open that journal and then go, done, done. What's next?
Yeah.
And it's really like it pushes you to keep completing the missions.
Yeah. So one very interesting thing I also just read about or listened about is we have willpower. And willpower comes with, let's say, a battery. And throughout the day, the more decisions you have to make, the battery goes down. Bigger decisions, more juice gets pressed out of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So if you don't plan your day, you make way more decisions and your willpower is gone sooner. So by planning your day, you don't have to mentally use that battery and you can go longer and more efficiently throughout your day.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. That's a great analogy for it. I've read it loads of times. You do only have so many good decisions every day before you start mentally declining. You're getting tired.
And I see that definitely, for example, on a video shoot that I do. The first half day, I make really good decisions. And so like, no, we have to redo this and make sure it's all right. And then by the end of the day, I was like, it should be fine.
Or even take boxing. You go sparring on Saturday. Round 1, you're fresh. Or you're not maybe fresh. You're kind of getting loose, right? Yeah. Round 2, 3, 4, you're in there and you're all right, I'm moving. And then when it comes to 30, 40 minutes into the hour of sparring, you're making mistakes.
Yeah,
you're
your hands are
more.
down. You're like too lazy to move your head for a slip or something.
Yeah, and you're getting hit way more. And you're like, this is like, you can see the tapering off here of skill.
I was like, I think I'll stop here for my better good.
Usually happens like by 11:40, 11:45 in the gym. There's a lot of people sitting on the ground and there's still a few people sparring.
Yeah.
But by that time, people have done 6 or 8 rounds or whatever it is. People are tired.
Yeah.
But boxing's been it's obviously where I met you. But boxing's been a great help to my life. It's I've lost, I think, in the region of 80 pounds since I started there. That's it now. That must be 3 years ago, right? 2019 it was, yeah. November 2019. Obviously got me fit, widened my social circle because the people in the gym that we were at were all cool. Everybody was there to work out, to learn, and nobody was there to kill each other. You know the way you hear these boxing gyms where people are just, it's war. Every day you go to the gym is war. And I was like, that's not what I'm trying to do at my age. I'm not trying to get concussions every week. I want to lose weight. I want to learn something. And that's what kept me coming back because while the learning curve is super steep with boxing, you think you know how to move your body. It's like 1, 2 pivot, and you're like, and you're falling over your own feet. You can't pivot and all that. But then 6 reps, you're like, I'm getting a sloppy one. 15 reps, I can kind of pivot. 2 weeks later, you're able to pivot. You know what you're doing.
Until you start sparring, and then it's all from
then
zero
it's all.
again.
But it's a constant learning curve. But it was the actual I can see myself getting better very quickly. Whereas like if you're lifting weights in the gym, it's going to be 4 weeks or whatever it is, 6 weeks, depending on how hard you're going before you start really seeing gains. But with boxing, it's quite quickly. And with skipping, it's even faster. That's what I like. I love skipping.
And also like if you stop skipping for a while and you do it again, it's like, shit, what happened?
Yeah, like I'll put on tunes. You see me in the gym, I'll put on the tunes, man. I'll go for 20 minutes just pop, dancing. And like you can see your skipping getting better and better every day if you do it for 2 weeks alone. Like 2 weeks.
Sometimes you can really get in a flow with skipping. And it's like the craziest thing. Sometimes like I'm skipping, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. Absolutely. You got the right tune on and you're just banging, you're just bouncing, doing tricks. Because like, you know, when we were in class, they'd say, right, 5 minutes of skipping to warm up. But now I'm doing, every day I'm doing 15, 20 minutes.
Even in the beginning, the 5 minutes. So first we were doing 3 minutes and I was like, okay, I can do 3 minutes. And then it's like 5 minutes, like, what, 5 minutes today? Yeah. Sometimes out of the blue, today we're doing 10 minutes. And I'm like, wow. And now it's
remember when you start, you couldn't
minutes,
get 10 seconds going though. You'd be like, duh, or you'd be big jumps and loading your jump, which is like, you know, beginners things. Once you learn the boxing step, like you could just go and go. What I found key was high tempo EDM tracks because the beat is like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And it basically took me back to Croatia, being on stage, jumping to the beat. So I was like, all I'm doing basically is twisting my wrists at the same time instead of bouncing my hand. Yeah. So once I did that, I was like, cool, I got it. And then it's you burn calories doing that. Anybody who's looking to burn calories fast.
How much? Because I've been trying to track how much. So when I do 10 minutes, about 100 calories for me, 90 to 100 calories.
Yeah, so if you put on like a high pace, you probably burn in 10 minutes, you'll burn, between 120 to 150, like going hard. Yeah. And then do that for 30 minutes. There's actually a girl who skips outside this apartment block every evening. She's out there as soon as it gets dark and she skips without a break from anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes. Just tap, 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 tap. Exact same tempo. Doesn't move an inch. And
it's a good habit.
It's serious hard going, fair play to her. My cardio is not there.
So actually, we haven't even got into the second question of the podcast. And we're 45.
That's how you know it's a good podcast.
Yeah. So you better be listening to all of this.
Talking about random stuff.
We talked a little bit about it, but what are your goals at the moment?
At the moment, I'm heavily focused on opening my own business here in Vietnam because I've always known I had to be my own boss since I was like a teenager and I got my first job at 14. I learned a lot through all my different jobs I've had in my life, but I've always felt like, you know, I've done everything from working in a bank to driving Lamborghinis in Canada to working as a teacher in Vietnam to selling wardrobes in Ireland, like you name it. I've had all these different sales jobs and all sorts of different things. But one thing I noticed is as I got older and I focused on, all right, what am I going to do long term now that I don't want to do music? What I discovered was that you can marry one of my biggest passions in life, which was dogs. I've always loved dogs, and run your own business. And it's called dog daycare. And I didn't even know it existed until I went to Canada, to be honest. Found it there, got obsessed with it. So then I did all the dog courses I could find. And then I made it a habit to spend at least 30 minutes every day watching some sort of educational video for myself on whether it be dog behavior, dog training, just the topic in general to acquire as much knowledge as possible. So the current thing I'm focused on right now is staying here in Vietnam, opening up a dog daycare business, which will encompass all the different aspects of daycare to the hotel, to dog walking, to the training, to the pet store, hopefully as well. Grooming as well, obviously. So we would like to bring a really high standard of quality care and just make sure that people understand that we're going to be offering the best time for your dog while you're away. If you're going on holidays or you're going to work for 8 hours a day, the dog is at home, either lonely or bored, you know, you can be rest assured and trust us that when it comes to our place, it's going to get the best time it could possibly have. So,
yeah, you've been talking about this idea for a while, and of course we had some other issues with that. What other issues do you see coming up trying to do that here?
Well, they always say don't work with kids and don't work with animals, right? And I've done one, so now I'm about to go do the other. Like I was saying, all my jobs from the past, I can actually look back now, each one, and pick out the different things that I've learned that are, oh, this is going to help me here, and this is going to help me here. And I definitely think that taking care of 45 little 5-year-olds in the Vietnamese school who don't speak great English, and yet we still are able to have a nice, peaceful, fun class. I think that will really stand to when you have 40 dogs in a room and they're all relaxed.
Yeah, but you have your ways of doing stuff. I know when you talk about your experiences in the class, you're not like a regular teacher sometimes.
Well, I learned a lot from my mom. My mom is she's really good fun, but you don't cross her. That's one thing I learned from her. She's a very fair woman though, very, very fair woman. So, yeah, in my classroom, like we set out the rules at the beginning of the year and we keep it cool from there. But I've for the last few years, I've been teaching teenagers only, which is a lot easier to have a discussion with them if there's something wrong, right? Because I was teaching in a high-level secondary school. So we'd have big discussions about different things, and it was really fun because as somebody from Ireland, you're talking to teenagers who have a totally different view of the world. And you can have awesome conversations and you can have deep conversations and weird conversations, provided they have the level of English, which my students did. So I had many good experiences. I've been able to help them with decisions in life as well. There was one girl I remember, it was November, we were doing speaking tests. And she came to me, she was really sad. And she sat down, really sad. And I put the test aside and I said, what's wrong? And she said, I'm really sad. I really love this boy, but we're not together right now. I said, all right. And she said, I also have a scholarship to Cambridge in England, and I'm really scared to go. So I said, oh, that's amazing. Well done. She goes, I don't know what to do. I love the boy, but I'm scared to go to England. And I just sat there quietly for a second, and I looked at her and I said, well, look at it this way. Let's put the boy aside for a second. He's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Just for 1 minute. I would go to England. It's a huge opportunity. And if you don't like it, you come home. And that's all I said. If you don't like it, you come home. And it was one of those moments when you're looking at somebody and you see a light bulb just bing, straight in their head. It was like, she said, teacher, nobody has said that to me. Not my mom, not my grandparents, nobody said that idea to me that if I don't like it, I can come home. I said, well, there you go. Think about that. So then we did the test anyway. We had a little bit of a normal test. She was obviously very good at English. We flew through the test. And then we had our Christmas break, or that break, come back in January. And I was like, where's Lynn? And they're like, oh, she's gone to Cambridge. And I was like, there you go. Fair play.
Good on her.
Good on you. So she's off having a great experience over there. And I'll always remember little things like that, or little connections you make with the little ones, because the little ones, when you walk in, they all run up to you. They all give you hugs. So you're walking along, 3 kids hanging out of this
And you're like this big friendly giant.
Yeah, exactly. I'm huge to them. So all right, teacher, high five. So you're high five and all the snotty hands. And then you're getting the hand sanitizer straight away after it. It is funny, I notice the difference in teaching teenagers and little ones. I don't get sick. I just rarely get sick. First week back into a primary school, I can guarantee I'll be sick. Like that, straight away you get sick.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they're all little germ bags.
Okay, goal of opening your own business?
Yes, to open up the dog daycare here. We plan on staying here long term.
Same,
Fantastic place. So,
how long ago did you make that decision of okay, I'm gonna stay here for a very long time?
I kind of knew, but what solidified it was when we went to America in September, spent 3 months there, and my fiance is American, so we can either live there or we can live in Europe, in Ireland or whatever. So went to America, decided that's not for us right now. It's just not what we want. And then we went to Ireland, and Ireland's not much better at the moment regarding quality of life, and what we would be, while being around family would be great, going from what we have to what will be the situation there. Just doesn't seem like a smart decision right now. So we're planning on staying here long term. And that's my goal, is to set up the dog daycare, and that would make my already great life even more fantastic.
That's super exciting. Yeah, like you said, we've been you've been talking about this for a while, and that's like exciting because I love dogs. You love dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 4 running around at home.
You do. You have 4 amazing little puppers.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just so exciting because I always wanted to do business as well. I stopped working for someone 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and I try to tell people like you can do it too, you know. And I know you've been very ambitious throughout your whole life, and you're also, I know you have the mindset of like, okay, I need to, everything I do is an experience and it will teach me one way or another.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And sometimes you also need to realize, okay, this is not the moment yet, but all the experiences I've been going through build up towards what I really want to do.
Absolutely. And sometimes when you're in a situation like that, you're like, you won't be able to see why it's helping you.
Yeah.
Because it's crap right now. And you're going through some bad stuff right now. And you're like, I know everybody tells me this is going to be like, you know, worth something, or I'll figure out why this is happening. The hard part about life is there are some lessons you just got to learn.
Yeah, the hard way.
There's no easy way through it. And
the painful way.
Painful way is usually the best ones, right? Because that's the ones where I've learned the most. Like one of the most painful things that ever happened to me was one of the catalyst reasons why I ended up in Vietnam. So, you know, going back from Canada and then getting everything very close to being set up there, like the business-wise, 2 weeks away. And then me and my ex splitting up, and everything just
wasn't
like
meant
dominoes.
to happen.
It was like dominoes. It was really crazy because looking back at it now, it took me a while. Then I moved to Vietnam. I stayed in Vietnam for a long time. But while Corona was happening, while the whole pandemic was happening, I was going, man, if things had worked out in Ireland, I would have been absolutely bankrupt by now, like legally on paper bankrupt because of how the business would have just, and I would have been signed into a long lease of having to pay this money, and it just would not have been good news. So I was like, isn't there something to everything happens for a reason? Or like, you know, there's times in your life when you're like, I don't believe it, and then there's times in your life when you're like, maybe there is something to it.
That's a funny thing you say. Everything happens for a reason. Same in my own life. I had a very smooth sailing most of my life, well, all my life basically. And then the only crazy thing that happened to me was my dad passing away 6 years ago. But then we keep just saying everything happens for a reason. I don't know what the reason was for this, but it got me closer to my own family and started appreciating a lot more things. I was like, oh.
Sometimes you find your own reason. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's not a reason, you get your own one. Like there's not one particular reason from this bad thing. It's like you can take what you want from it. Yeah.
And then now as well, like we've been through other stuff as well. And then just like, why does this happen to us? Why does it have to happen? And it comes down to other, like we just had a conversation as well, like, was I meant to be 10 minutes late here? Or like everything happens for a reason somehow. And this is very spiritual, but it's like, obviously my mom is also like the biggest hippie in the world. So I've been brought up that way.
I've got pretty hippie parents as well.
Very thankful for it, but also I had a conversation with my mother not too long ago because I've been going through some issues. I've basically been spoiled throughout my life in the sense of I had all the freedom I wanted. So not enough discipline for certain things. And then we've been through some things and then been talking to my mom a lot. And then she's like, yeah, I haven't been hard enough on you, huh?
Click, turn it up now.
Yeah, and then it's like these things, like, okay. And then now what's coming soon as well is like, yeah, maybe I need to start to understand a few things and implement that in my own life.
Yeah, well, discipline is one of the biggest things that I'm an advocate for. You have to have discipline because when you have like a goal or you're aiming towards something, if you don't have discipline, you'll veer off a degree because you won't do it today. And then somebody will invite you out the next day when you said, I won't do it today, I'll do it the next day. You guys are all going for beers. It's all right, I'll do it the next day. And you're a degree, and before you know it, you got a long way to swim back.
It's the compound effect, the opposite way.
Yeah, it swings both ways.
The crazy thing is, you think it's 1%, 1% the wrong way, but instead you could have gone 1% the right way. Yeah. So the difference is 2%.
Correct, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it compounds, and you're opposite directions.
That's when you realize. It's like weight gain is like that, right? Because I've been times when I was 280 pounds, now I'm 206. but it's noticing that you've put on a lot of weight is a very like slow thing. And then one day you look and you go, whoa.
What the hell happened?
But it was really easy to get here. You just open your mouth and put things in. There's no hard work. But now is like, it's a long road back.
Yeah.
Because you're boxing, like you can work out for a whole week, bang, 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 knock out the days. Really hard work, lose a couple of pounds.
And then you do...
And then you go out on Saturday night and you have a couple too many beers. And you go step on the scales on Monday and you're like, I've gained 4 pounds for one night of beer. You're like, what am I doing? Yeah. This is insane. So I've found myself cutting down beer and stuff like that. And
that's one of the craziest decisions I've also made. I used to drink almost daily, even if it's at home, a drink or whatever.
Yeah.
And on the 21st of June, that's a day my dad's anniversary, I cut cold turkey.
Wow.
No drinking, many reasons, but I can see already, and it's like 3 weeks in now.
You feel
health.
For sure.
Just feel like clear, in combination with the other habits I've been doing. It's just
of course.
Clearer, longer day stamina. You can get easier out of bed in the morning, and you get a lot of things done, but you're tired in the right way.
Yeah.
Because you've done a lot of things. I used to drink just before bed because I was like, I fancy a drink.
Have a nice beer.
But your sleep is so shit because of that.
Inflammation as well, dude. Like, you know yourself, like you're drinking all that. You can't, if you get stung by a bee, you can see the inflammation. Mm-hmm. Your arm swells up. But when you drink a ton of beer, internally, you can't see the inflammation that's happening.
Yeah.
And when you do cut it out, you do feel
your body doesn't have to focus on controlling that inflammation anymore. Exactly. It can focus on regenerating other things. And I didn't even have the urge to drink, and it's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and I've been on parties and stuff like that. And also because I know what the negative effects directly do to me or my relationships or my physique. And I just have that in mind.
Yeah.
It's just like, even one drink is never one drink.
I am probably the only Irish person on the planet currently living that can do one drink and go home. Because I can't.
1 liter of Guinness is not one drink.
Pour me a tall glass of whiskey, please. No, but I can. It wouldn't bother me. I grew up around a granddad who drank a lot, but was never like one of them bad alcoholics, like aggressive or anything like that. He was just...
Get scared.
He was consistent. What it was. And looking at it as a kid regularly, I was just like, that doesn't look like any crack at all to me. So I didn't drink until I was 26. That was when I took my first drink. And I was 26 years old. So I was out as a teenager when everybody was getting, out in the field and blah, 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 blah. And I'm seeing it all, sober.
Yeah, I had bad
and I'm seeing my
years.
sloppy friends and I'm like, that's not what I want, really. I don't want to be like that. So it just never took a shine to it.
Yeah, for me I started 16. I was the legal age in Belgium, and that's also when I started.
16 is?
Yeah.
Nice.
For beers, not for strong.
It's 21 in America.
Yeah, well.
Wild. You can go join the army and all that sort of thing, but you can't.
Yeah, or drive a car, and then you learn, how to drive a car, but you don't know how to drink, and then people jump in. Anyway, different conversation.
Different, but wild.
But when I was teenager in my early 20s, I drank so much that I would black out twice a weekend.
Damn, that's wild. I blacked out once in my life, and
never
again, and it wasn't even intentional.
A regularity.
Wow.
Yeah, and it never did any good to me,
Absolutely.
And now I'm thinking back, like, what could have been possible if I didn't do that kind of crap?
But at the same time, you had to do that crap to realize I don't want to do that crap, and that crap isn't my kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a few things in my life that I've been through like that, like going to university, tried it, and I was all realized like this is not me. But
not for everybody.
Then realizing like I'm happy I did it, so I never will have that thought in my mind that what if?
What if is the worst. That's
what
the one.
If is the worst.
You don't want a what if. I don't have a what if with music. That's why I was able to let it go.
Yeah.
Because for years I kept up the whole persona of like I make music, that's my kind of thing, but realistically I didn't really want it that much. And looking at personally, I don't even know if I just wouldn't want that social media backlash in my life in any respects.
It would be a whole different story now or back in 28, you know?
Yeah, but back in 08, there was no, it was like Bebo or something. I don't even know if you remember Bebo. Bebo was like before Facebook.
Yeah.
In between MySpace.
I don't even know.
And this was this huge thing. And that was gone. And that was where like people used to put their like embed a video on the left side of their page. And it was on a lot of pages and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know if I actually did during that time take a lot of backlash. Because growing up in a small town, you know, I'm sure it's the same everywhere where people see other people doing well. Rarely do they get behind them and be like, yeah, champion them. It's only when you go off, usually, and become huge, they want you to come back and champion the town or whatever. But while I got a tremendous amount of support from the local area, there was always the few bitter people.
That's always.
Who made, like, you know, there was lads that were following me around in cars and I was driving around just trying to intimidate me. All this kind of crap like was happening. And it never really bothered me too much, but it did to the point where I was like, I'm just not wanting for small town life anymore. So then I was very young, I was like 21. I moved up to Dublin and I spent most of my adult life in Dublin or bouncing out and living in New York or Los Angeles or Vancouver and back to Dublin and whatever.
Wow.
So Dublin was always, I'm from Wexford, but when people say like, where are you from? I'm like, the adult kind of grew up in Dublin. So that's where all my friends are and stuff like that.
Nice. Dublin boy. A little bit the essence of the podcast, and that was also originally how I wanted to call the podcast. What do you think is your full potential?
I suppose it's different for everybody, right? You have to define full potential. Like, do you want to?
No,
what's your full potential in
that's
your
the
health?
open question
or
to you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you'll have to define like different areas of your full potential. Your health and your mental health is a big thing. You got to take care of it a lot. It's not so like if you go to the gym regularly to take care of your body, you should meditate to take care of your mind, and you should be present to take care of your mind and not consume as much social media. Because I think if you're striving to do all these things, get better at this and do it every day, then you're consuming this terribly negative, toxic stuff. It's like tipping the scales back down and reducing all the work you're doing on one end. Because you like, I don't know if you're like me. I have a Twitter solely to just keep an eye on what's going on in Ireland. That's it. That's all. I just follow bing, 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 bing. These few people or these few things. I get a broad range of views, follow a few different loonies on that side, a few different lunatics on that side, just to see what people are saying. But I can get myself angry just scrolling, dude.
Yeah.
And find myself typing things, getting to the end, reading it, and then going, it ain't worth it. And just deleting it. Because I'm like, I'm not getting into a discussion. It's going to be empty. Yeah. And it's a waste of my energy.
That's why on my desktop, my Facebook feed is off.
Good, yeah.
Same now with YouTube recommendation page, off when I need to.
YouTube can be a time suck. You can use.
I have two monitors and YouTube is always on.
Yeah, you can use.
And either it's for like stuff like I talked to you about the episode we have about ADHD, and that's where I learned about brown noise and pink noise. So
never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so you have white noise, obviously, but you also have brown noise and pink noise.
What is it? Can I guess what brown noise sounds like? Or do I want to know?
Yeah, go ahead. So white noise is like your fan. It's more a higher pitch.
Yeah.
Brown noise is a lower pitch. Still, or middle pitch, not like a bass pitch, but like a...
You know what a brown note is, right? When you hit the brown note, you gotta...
Yeah.
Scoot, scoot. So is that what they're referencing then? No, it's like a lower...
Not at all. It's actually like different kinds of types of noises, yeah. But then what I really got into is basically like different hertz levels.
Okay.
That gets you in certain vibes. And if you just start playing it, you think, oh, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But I started doing it after the episode I did, started getting into it.
Yeah.
And it's like this weird thing that makes you focus way better.
Really? It actually works, like that one singular tone. I know the thing.
It's not a tone, but it's like sound waves and it's like certain...
And it just focuses the brain.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I literally, like what I did is like a ADHD music, right? and that is to reduce stress, enhance focus, and relax and stuff like that. And then you have different playlists or different notes and tones for sleeping, for meditating, for focusing and stuff. And this is not that I figured out like, 480 is this, 350 is this. No, like there's just these kind of noises that you Google or whatever.
Yeah, sure. That's the great thing.
Really made me into a proper flow sometimes, and
get you in a flow state.
Yeah, and it's very different. I've been very much struggling into getting a flow state for work. I started my work doing something I loved, right? But if it turns into work, you start hating it, or you
can lose the love for it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Lose the love for it. So it was harder for me to get into a proper flow state. So now,
which stops you reaching your full potential, right? Obviously, like, you know, full potential is I would say, almost impossible thing to reach.
It is.
Full potential, because you can always.
Because by the time you're reaching it, your tank got bigger, and that full is.
By the time you get there, anyway, you should be aiming further anyway. You should be aiming for a bigger or more badass goal by the time you arrive at the previous goal. So full potential is a difficult question to answer. But I think if you are at least striving to grow and change, because a lot of people are afraid of change, and a lot of people don't want to grow because it's painful or it's difficult or you have to fail, all these different things that people are afraid of. But it's not in the being amazing at it, right? It's the figuring it out, like boxing, like you're like, okay, I can throw a 1, I can throw a 2, but can you like step and roll? You can't do that your first couple of days. And it's just like, you have to unlock this potential, and you have like, I can roll this way, I can roll that way. And it's just constant growth. And if you're not growing, you're obviously stagnant, and people will just zoom on by you. But if you're not willing to do the hard work, you've no right to complain about the current situation.
Yeah, sometimes that made me realize when I'm back in the gym and I see people like just starting out with boxing, I was like, hold on, I came from there. Yeah. It's kind of crazy what journey I've been through. And then like when we spar and people, like for example, my style of boxing is like very like I'm fast, right?
You gotta go in and out,
and some people are like, damn man, you move, like how long you been boxing? I was like, oh, this time. I was like, oh man, I only done this for 4 months and I'm still like trying to do something. I was like, yeah, hold on, you get there. Like when I started out, like I remember very vividly in the beginning, I love sparring because I love contact, I love the challenge, and just so frustrating that I even couldn't slip a jab, a simple jab that you know it's coming even, I couldn't slip. And now it's like,
that's the thing.
You don't even think about it. Like you can almost do it blindly, you know? You see the person moving, you see like the weight shifting, and you just know like slip. But back then it was just like, but I'm trying, and yet I get the fucking number one on my nose every single time. So
there does come a point in boxing training where a punch, for the first time, you see it come in slow motion. Where you're like,
so satisfying.
You do something and you're like, that slowed down. That was definitely in slow motion.
Yeah, and it's like that wasn't by accident. Like I knew what I was doing.
You felt like Neo for the first time. You're like, wow, it works.
And it's even better when you literally dodge a combination. You know? Like a 1-2 roll, and then you counter, and that's like the ultimate feeling of like, this is what it is.
It is working. It is working.
Yeah. Boxing gave me a good drive and a good focus, and obviously the community we've been blessed with that, with the people we've met through it, and all the things that we've gained. Great group of friends. Oh yeah. What does success? Huh?
So you're trying to think your other question.
Yeah, no, I'm actually enjoying just chill conversation.
Low chill vibe conversation.
Yeah, I'll put like a lo-fi tune underneath. And
there's no stress when you're hanging out with me anyway, that's for sure, dude.
Yeah. Also, we were actually at one thing. Not one thing, there's many things, but like you said, like there's so many distractions like social media and everything like that. Did you have moments where you were really like affected by like every notification you get, or like what's out there, and when or how did you go about it to reduce that?
One tool I actually found really good was the Apple Screentime notification. It's like, hey, big boy, you're up 53% this week. And I'm like, well, what have we been doing? You can see, like, I've wasted all this time on all this social media.
Like
so
on the
you get the
on
weekly
the apps
update.
or on the
No,
full
you get-
screen time?
You get the weekly update on the screen time, so the breakdown.
Okay.
And it shows you, like, you spent this much time on YouTube, which I don't mind, because if I have that on, it means my headphones are on, I'm doing a task, and
Okay.
YouTube is sitting down.
Yeah.
But, like, if it's on Instagram,
You're a lot on Instagram.
I'm actually not.
Not
That's the thing.
anymore.
I'm actually not. I don't have Snapchat. I only read Twitter. I was, a couple of months ago, I was using Twitter. Like, I was replying to silly tweets, we'll call them.
Was there a
when-
direct feedback on how things were going for you?
No, it's just you get into these little back and forths with people who you don't know. And
Internet
they're not
trolls.
making any, they're not making any logical sense.
But not for you, not for him, not for
And it's not doing me any good.
what you're
And
trying to
it's-
do.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not going to change his mind. He's not going to change my mind. Nobody's going to benefit out of this interaction whatsoever. So I was like, I just stopped replying to people on Twitter. Now I just read it because I would, you get into that, like a little spat on Twitter. I replied to him, that was quite witty.
Yeah.
You give it 10, 15 minutes, you're like, did he reply? He did reply. Because you're looking for
It's dopamine.
Yes, you're looking for that. That drags you in, that little back
It's
and forth. I'm going to get him.
it's
I'm going to get him.
dopamine. What I find very interesting reading more about these things is you see the scientific or the practical breakdown of why you do these things.
Yeah.
And I'm a very technical and I love science kind of thing. Like I was talking about willpower, right?
Right.
When you have that breakdown of that, then you start to understand that instead of like, it's not so bad what I just did. It's only like a witty reply. Like it's not going to affect me.
Yeah.
Or not that you think about it that way, but when you do know what goes in the back of your mind, like literally like the chemicals that goes down in the back of your mind and stuff like
the
that.
real science behind it all.
It's like, that's back to the wrong side of compounding.
For sure.
And instead of like, you know what, I don't need that. I can do with that energy I spend on something, I can use for the better.
I think a lot of people my age, like my friends in their 30s, a lot of them I know are backing away from social media. They're all realizing it's not good for. The only one I have, is a couple of them I have Facebook solely to check the groups for this district and this city. I have Messenger to stay in touch with my nanny and things like that, and Instagram. And I browse Reddit for cool videos. That's it. I don't interact with anybody on Reddit. I don't interact with anybody on Twitter. And I only post on my Instagram. And that's it. I'm not trying to get followers. I don't care if anybody follows me. I don't care if anybody unfollows me. It's like a personal little digital library. That's all I use Instagram as.
Facebook is my downer for infinity scrolling.
Right.
And the only thing I use Instagram for is to my stories, but I post also on Facebook then. And sometimes if I go to Reels, it's only dog videos or baby videos.
I got my algorithm nailed right now.
Yeah.
Boxing drills, dogs, and crazy stunts.
Yeah.
That's all I see.
No, for me, it's like dog videos and like some motivational stuff. And then it's like,
I
sometimes,
get the odd one sprinkled in actually. Yeah, that's good.
But I stopped doing that as well. Like now I start using that just to read because I read on my phone. What is actually, I don't take, like I have Kindle on my phone.
Yeah.
Just dark mode.
Yeah.
And it's convenient for me.
Easier on the eyes.
Plus you can easily like copy and mark and even like there's some links in there. Like I'm reading a book about different people who have then the links to their LinkedIn or to their website where it's like an immediate link and it's like connect with them,
okay, cool.
So that's very convenient. Plus marking it and summarizing it is also way easier. I tried to optimize the flow of a lot of things. I wish I could remove the feed of Facebook on my phone, but I still use Facebook for work, for promoting, for for looking up stuff and
But that's
connecting.
it. You're always going to be you're going to be tied to it in some capacity
Yeah.
because you got a business, right? And these
Yeah.
days, businesses, they do need to be on social media to gain a bigger audience, to have a bigger impact.
Yeah, so like the desktop, I wish we had, there's like a plugin where it just reduces or like gets rid of the feed and you just have the search option. Because sometimes like it's literally muscle memory. Like you pick up your phone, you press Facebook and you go like...
Well, that's why your phone will actually tell you how many times you picked up today. It'll tell you how many times you just picked it up and did that.
Yeah, but I just decide to ignore that fact. And
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't want to look at that number. They're like, Jesus, that's not good now. Because you do. You like, as soon as the ad comes on TV, you just automatically,
Yeah.
Or like, you know, a conversation break in. Sometimes people automatically just pick it up. But my friends are quite, in Ireland, when we're out, say, having a few beers, there's a few of my friends who are very militant about like, if you bring that phone out, you're out. You can go, or you can buy a whole round of beers. We are here talking to each other.
I got a
Nobody
wife
needs
like
to be on their
that.
phone. So your wife's like that?
At the dinner table.
Oh, well, I'm with her 100% there.
Yeah.
Leave it out for 10, 15 minutes.
I don't even do it, like it's literally like muscle memory. It just goes there and like... And then nothing comes in because I can't multitask.
You'll notice I don't reply to messages for quite a while sometimes.
Yeah.
I heard years ago, one of the best lines I ever heard, your phone is there for your convenience and not others. It's like, when people send you messages, it's a message. If it's really important, they'll call you.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's a message, I'll just leave my phone down and I'll come back and I'll like 10 messages, 4 WhatsApps, and I'm like, all right, let's get through them.
That's one thing I'm
block.
really trying to learn as well. Reduce, and that, again, one of these things is the watch. Because if it's in your pocket and you get a vibration, you pick up the phone and you look at it, and then you immediately open it, and then you're in a rabbit hole again.
You're distracted again.
But with the watch, it's just like, oh, it's only that. Done.
Not important. Gone.
Okay, move on. And the next step would be reduce notifications on the watch as well.
Yeah. We're having a good conversation. You have plenty of stuff to do. We'll keep going for a little while. You're all good.
Yeah, so it's also making habits is one thing, but getting rid of them is so difficult.
Can be, for sure.
And for me, and that's one of the reasons I went cold turkey with drinking, for example, is just out of my life or like not having it. Just having one is never one for me. I don't have that willpower, for example. And that might be a personal issue or whatever, but I know I have a very addictive personality. Dopamine is one of them, and everything is dopamine for me. So
you're like a high energy guy.
Yeah.
Like you're a lot more amped up and positive about life, ready to go.
Yeah.
Like,
So I know that I get addicted very quickly. Games as well. So I had to cut that out of my life.
Yeah, I remember when we were here, you wouldn't play the...
No, because I knew I would.
Yeah, you'd go down a rabbit hole, and that's it.
So things like I got offered cocaine in my life many times. And I'm
that
like...
That wouldn't be for you at all, dude. You'd be gone.
Yeah, I'm like, that would never be helpful anywhere in my life.
No.
At any point.
Yeah.
So, no thank you.
It's good you have the willpower to say no to that, though. So you can't say you don't have willpower because, lesser men have fallen to that. Like, just, I'll try it. And then, gone.
Yeah, and actually the biggest fear would have been, I don't have money for that kind of addiction.
Absolutely, though. Because then if you get addicted to it, you have to figure out how to get the money because you're addicted to it. So that's how people can end up going, making bad decisions.
And it's with many things, like sugar. I love sugar. So I try to avoid having sugar in the house, sugary things, sweets in the house. And even if I'm like running around my kitchen, like, where is it? And then I was like, oh, there's not there. And then,
but it's not necessarily sugar, right? Because you're like me. You're looking for sweet stuff.
Yeah.
Because like, if there's fruit there, I'll walk by the fruit sometimes because I'm wanting something sweet in my head, which is like candy or sweets. So we're the same. We don't keep any in the house anymore because it's has been my biggest enemy for years. It's the one thing I've always struggled to have discipline on is.
Yeah. So that was the same with beers. Like, why do I, like before, right? Like, why do I go buy like only 2 beers or 3 beers at the shop? And then I'm like sitting there like, I wish I had more. Or then I'm like, at one point I made a decision, I'll buy a whole crate and then I'll just drink a few every night. I drank 4, 5, 6 every night on a normal day.
Yeah.
And I was like, Oh, and then I started getting big, like flubbery. I'm like, oh, no more of that. And then from there, it's like, just not.
It's hard to get rid of it once it goes on.
So I tried to literally have it out of reach. Everything that I know that is bad for me, I try to have it out of reach.
What I tried to do is, if I want something, like a bar of chocolate would say, I have to make the effort to go, get on the bike, drive to the store.
Exactly.
And most of the time I'm just like, I can't be bothered. And then I clearly don't want
you have a store now.
I know, but I won't even walk across the street, dude. Like, I'll be just like, I'm not doing it. Because I don't want it that much. You know?
That's why I don't want these things in my house anymore. Like sweets, like we were house sitting in another house and there's like bars of chocolate laying there and I'm like, no.
You can't just leave stuff like that laying around for temptation, you know? Because temptation is, man, that's a really, really tough one. You got to be really disciplined. Yeah. If you are big into something like that.
And that's again to willpower, and it literally drains your battery of making the decision not to do while you really want to do it.
Because if there's a chocolate bar over there on the counter, and you're sitting over here, like, I'm not having it. And then you're sitting here, like 2 or 3 minutes later, it'll pop back into your head, that chocolate bar, and you're like, now it's taken over more.
I had this exact thing. Jesse made brownies over the weekend. So I made a decision, I'm only going to eat them on the weekend.
The brownies?
Yeah. But then on Sunday night, or even it was Monday morning maybe, there was one left.
Ah, sure, look.
And I walked in there in the morning and I was sitting on the counter.
You
and
couldn't leave it there. You couldn't leave it.
Come on, it's the last one.
You'll always find a justification for yourself to do something like that.
Always.
It is tough to reel it in, especially if you have a sugar thing like that. Like with me, it was, especially in Ireland. And you're from Belgium. Look, come on.
Beers and chocolate all my
Beers
life.
and chocolate. And in Ireland, I have like it's not necessarily my theory, but I have thought about this extensively. We have Cadbury's, which I'm sure you know, but it's really, really good quality stuff because it rains in Ireland all the time. Cows eat the rain, cows make the milk goes in the chocolate, and we don't have that chemical that stops it melting like over here. Because, they have to put this stuff in so it doesn't turn into like mush on the shelf. Whereas you take a chocolate bar in Ireland, you walk out of the petrol station, if it's a hot day in July, 2 minutes later, that's going to be melting. You got to eat that. This is going to be melting. And the chocolate is just so good. So when I was there for 4 months, December to April, I must have put on like, I don't know, 10 pounds, 10, 15 pounds. Because it was just, you walk into a petrol station, probably the same back where you're from, and before you get to the counter, you got to go through this little mini maze of chocolate and deals of chocolate
but the same
bars.
here. It's literally where you pay here, and underneath
that's nothing, dude. You got I'm not joking. Like there's like 15, 20 feet, and a maze that goes back like the airport, and it's just chocolate bars. And then the next row is chocolate bars, and it's like 2 for €1 or 3 for $1.50, and you're like, that's a good deal. Give me 3 of them bars, and you're like, why am I buying 3 chocolate bars?
And then you also eat them all 3. It was like,
one
are they going to melt,
other.
and what do I do with the last one?
It's like I have discipline in so many areas of my life. I get up, I make my bed every day. I do like certain things every day, but chocolate is just like, what? Okay, come on then. You pick it up and bring it with you. But the chocolate here, thankfully, in Vietnam is not too pleasing to me. So
we get the one from Australia, I think, Cadbury. Or Jesse, as a client, brings chocolate from Finland. That's gone in a week.
Is it good?
Like a big bar.
Never had Finnish chocolate before.
Yeah, that's good.
Can't be better than Belgium.
No.
You guys are the world masters of chocolate.
I know.
How did that come about? Because cacao, it must have been your man.
Leopold first.
That dude, yeah, that guy who wrecked.
Although the Congo doesn't have chocolate, I think.
No?
They had rubber.
Well, they must have took it somewhere from Africa then back up to that dude. Because it doesn't make any sense why you guys, who are so far removed.
Yeah, and now we have a client, Maru, is chocolate as well.
Yeah.
And then we literally we're playing with chocolate, like throwing stuff into the chocolate and
chocolate fountains are the business.
And then like they have these nice pralines and all. Or the first time we had Maru, they had like these mini marshmallows. Best.
And the hot chocolate and stuff, or the dip it in thing?
Yeah, but we used it as props.
Yeah. Who ate the props after they're done though?
Well, I was eating them during the shoot.
And you're like, where's the marshmallow? Sorry, man. We'll go get more.
Yeah, discipline. It's a tricky one. Eh? Like, how do you teach yourself discipline?
Every day. That's how you teach it every day.
I know.
Every single day is how you teach it. You do the things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them.
Yeah.
As soon as you have that chat in your head, say, I'm not going to the gym this morning. Yes, you are.
Yeah, but you're good at that one.
Get your fat ass up and go to that gym. And sure enough, as soon as I close that front door, there's no problem.
Yeah.
There's no problem. It's the picking the bag up, putting the shoes on, and walking out the front door is by far the hardest part of that particular discipline.
Yeah.
But there's other disciplines that are. But you're the only person that's accountable for yourself. Like that's, you don't really get told that when you're an adult. It's like you're responsible for everything. So it's self-taught.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Are you everything self-taught like that, or were there people in your life that influenced you a lot?
I was, for a period of time when I was younger, 17 to about 18 or 19, I was in the Reserve Defence Forces in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
So you learn a lot of discipline there. You're 17 years old, you don't like getting up early, but you got to get up early because there's a man shouting at the end of your bed, get up. So you get up. And he said, so after like a week or two there in the camp, I said to the sergeant, I was like, what are we doing getting up at 6 a.m? And I was only 17, I remember, but I remember it burned into my head what he said. He's like, think about it this way. You get up at 6, your best friend gets up at 10 in the morning. You have 4 hours on him. What can you do in 4 hours? And I just went, a lot. And ever since then, I was like, makes total sense to be up early.
I have that now as well. Like, you feel a lot better doing stuff. And I used to not be able to get out of bed, but now I want to get up earlier. So I'm training myself like minute by minute to get up earlier so I can get more done. I want to get back to reading. I want to get back to work. I want to get back to gym.
Yeah.
You just want it because you get in that right flow.
Sleep is something I'm very big on the last couple of years. Sleeping is super important. Yeah. And I am one of those gifted people who, like, when I lie down, I'm like those dolls, the dolls from years ago, and you lay them down their eyes shut. As soon as I go horizontal, my body's like, we sleeping? All right, cool. All switches get switched off within 2 or 3 minutes.
I have an assistant like that.
Oh man, it's amazing.
Who can fall asleep during a shoot in a factory.
I've fallen asleep backstage at nightclubs. When like full-blown festival stage. Boom, boom. And I'm lying down for half an hour. I lie down, gone. And it's the same with waking up. I wake up and I'm able to just...
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm getting better at it. I'm teaching myself to. And that's why, like, having full days... Because that's also the thing. If you sleep long, you get to bed later. And then it's like a vicious circle,
Yeah, you can fall into a habit of...
But if you get up early, you're tired by the time you should go to bed and you have proper sleep.
I'm in bed by like 11, half 11 most nights.
Yeah.
I'm in bed. I don't mess around with nothing really good happens unless you're out, but nothing good happens after 12 o'clock. You're just eating into the next day, in my opinion. Whereas if you get up at 6, you can bang out all the things that you don't want to do, and it'll be 9 o'clock in the morning.
And the thing is, I do need time to wake up properly.
Yeah,
and usually my coffee is like a placebo trigger.
Yeah.
I don't know if it actually is that I need my coffee, but...
whether it works or doesn't, it's your thing.
Yeah, once I have my coffee, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a mental switch of like, okay, this is the trigger of get going.
Yeah, how many people say don't talk to me before I've had my coffee?
Yeah. And Jessie knows that as well. It's when she asked me before that, and it's like, huh? I was like, oh, you have your coffee yet? And it's like, nah. Okay, drink
have
first.
Your coffee and then
I'll talk to you after.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, and then getting up earlier, getting that done earlier, makes you going as well.
Absolutely. So like getting up all those mornings at 6 o'clock back then and just realizing you can get a lot done more. He taught me a really valuable lesson with that, but no, I wasn't taught. I self-taught myself a lot of things, but honestly, like yourself, I went on a personal kind of growth, and I know like the whole self-help thing is all cringy and whatnot, but like in a society that we live in today, either you program your brain or your brain will be programmed for you, in my opinion, because you're seeing so many amazing lives on Instagram that aren't real and stuff like that. It's like what you put into your head is really, really important. What you listen to, what content you consume. I'm a big advocate of not going on the phone as soon as you wake up. Like, I know so many people that wake up and the first thing they do before their feet hits the ground is they're checking their work emails. And like, that's just
work now.
Bang, 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 bang. What problems do I have to fix now? And I've just woken up.
Yeah.
So I don't go on my phone for the first while. I don't really care what's out there happening anyway. So I'm waking up, doing my thing in the morning, and I try not to get that into me. But I am a big fan of listening to something good in the morning, like listening to something positive. It doesn't have to be Tony Robbins woo-woo stuff. If you're into working out, you get up, listen to like a 4-minute Jocko Willink or David Goggins little video, or he's running on the road and he's like, get your ass out. If you're just listening to that when you're walking around making your coffee, man, you're programming your brain to get going. Mm-hmm. Your brain is hearing information.
Yeah,
say,
or even just like a good tune,
go,
you know?
Work. Yeah, but like the words, the ones that I listen to, like it'll just reaffirm things that many people already know, but hearing them in the morning makes you kind of go, right, well, let's kick ass and go.
It's like a shortcut for your day.
Yeah, like I think it was Tim Ferriss that has that 5 things to do before you leave your house. 5 things to win the day, it's called. So in the morning you write a list of 5 things that are really, really simple, but you do them before you leave, which is make your bed, brush your teeth, have breakfast, text your mom, whatever it is, right? But simple, easy to do things. If you write that list and before you leave, you go tick, 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 tick. You ticked 5 boxes before you left the house. You are running.
It's also a habit stacking because you got up and you made your bed. That means you're gonna go you brush your teeth, and it's all like habit stacking, and it becomes automatically. And if it's the right habits, you put yourself ahead. For
sure, and you can get lost with bad habits as well. We've all done that, I'm sure, at different points, you know. Bad habits, and the only way to fix those is you got to do something that people don't really want to do, which is sit on the end of the bed and you go, what bad things am I doing? What you have to really ask yourself and really want the answer, because the answer you're going to get is not an answer you're going to want to hear, because you know it's something you're doing wrong or not, that's not benefiting you. You go, right, well, we got to stop it. And the only way to build that discipline is you make the decision, because that's really all it is. Nobody's going to decide for you. You have to decide. Like you did with beer. You were like, today, done. I'm done. Yeah. I'm not doing it anymore.
I was about to say as well, like sometimes I make the decision of like, oh, I'll have a beer in the afternoon when you're out, it's nice weather, and you're just hanging out with someone. It's like, oh, just let's have 1 beer. And sometimes, yes, 1 beer or 2 beers. But even that makes me not do my other tasks that I was supposed to, because I was like, why not? It's a beautiful day. I can just relax.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of afternoon drinking in any way. I respect if you have anything left to do, because as soon as the beer touches your lip, that whole...
And that's back to willpower, because the decision making is out of the window and the beer takes over, or just like lazy is like, oh, I already did something today. I don't have to do much more today, although you still had these tasks to do. Yeah, you know?
And you push them off till tomorrow.
And now, I've been in places where I have friends who are like, oh, let's just have a beer, and it's like 2 p.m. and they have a beer, and I know if I would have had that beer and I go home, I wouldn't have done 5 more hours of work even.
Yeah, for sure. It can really... I know with my friends in Ireland, if any drinking starts before the hour of 6 or 5, then it's going to be a bananas even. Because usually we will be civilized and go out around the hours of 7 or 8, or after dinner we'll go out at 8 or 9 or whatever, and we'll have, you know, a few drinks. But the days that one of the lads goes, just it's a cracking day, sure, we'll pop in here for 1 while we're around. We'll go into the pub at 3 o'clock. In my head,
nothing's good gonna come out of this.
No, not necessarily nothing good, because good things are going to happen. There's going to be a lot of crack. There's going to be a lot of laughs. There's going to be many good stories told. There's going to be really good memories made. But if you had any missions to complete, they're not getting done. Yeah. And that's a fact. Unless you're going to be the guy who's going to, you know, you got 3 or 4 of your mates in the pub in Dublin, the Guinness is flowing and you're giddy now, you've had 2 or 3 pints of Guinness in you, and you turn around and you go, right lads, I got to go do this thing. They're going to be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and you're very easily convinced not to go do that thing.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Rubber arms. Oh, yeah. Easily twisted.
Yeah, I have I don't know if it's a bad habit or not, but I work till late, like 9, 10 o'clock, because I love work. And I do a lot of different things, right? Podcast, I do actual work, I do business development, I reach out to people, I just do a lot of stuff. But if any drink comes in, from that drink, no other work gets done.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially no exercise.
You're not going to go have 2-3 beers and then go exercise.
Yeah. I've done that before when I was working on a cruise ship. But that was just to prove a point that I could do it well through.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out well. Especially if you do weights and it's like,
We're out of gas.
Yeah. Cool. So now really anyone that had a big influence on you to the person you are right now?
That's a good question. There's loads of people that have really influenced my life in many ways. For more recent ones, it would be somebody who did influence my life a lot. Actually, would be. It's kind of a distance thing, obviously, because I don't know the person, but it would be Jocko Willink. Do you know who he is? So he's an ex-Navy SEAL commander, right? He's an absolute tank of a man. He's a gorilla, but his mindset is unbreakable because he's been through it all, seen it all. Now, I'm not trying to be Jocko Willink. I'll never be Jocko Willink. You can't, right? There's only one. But to know that there's dudes out there who are as consistent and as disciplined and as badass, who go for the mission and get the mission done. No matter, he's not in the Navy SEALs anymore. He's a businessman, podcaster now.
I think I know, I've seen him, yeah.
He has a book called Extreme Ownership you should read.
Okay.
Fantastic book.
I'll put
he has a TED Talk called Extreme Ownership you could watch as well. But it's really good to know there's guys out there like that, because you don't necessarily have to get to that level, but you always know there's more to do. And as long as you're doing what you should be doing, like your Phil, did I give what I fully had, or did I kind of slack off a bit? Because you know yourself, you get to the 5th, 6th, 7th round on a bag and you're just tap, 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 because you can't. If you were in a 6th, 7th round of a fight, you have to dig deep or you're going to get hit. So people like him kind of give me no excuses when I'm trying to be lazy, because I'm like, that fella goes out and just, if you look at his Instagram, it's fascinating. Every Instagram is his watch in the morning at 5 o'clock or 4:30. And then the next picture is a pool of sweat and the dumbbells he was lifting or the kettlebells he was lifting. But every morning is 4:45, 4:35. He's up every single day, takes a picture of that watch and then takes a picture of the aftermath. And it's like, who has excuses? You know, especially here, I'm lucky I have a gym in the building, but I've got the gym close by, because I do believe that if you have a 15-20 minute drive to a gym, you're less likely to go.
You have to make your obstacles as easy as possible as well.
Yeah.
The same with the chocolate bar. If it's in your house, it's easier to reach, and you will be easier to break that. For sure. But it's the opposite as well.
Put more barriers in front of the stuff that's going to mess you up.
If you want to eat healthy and you're not putting fruit in your fridge or on the table, then don't complain that you're not eating healthy, because you're not making it easy for yourself to do so.
They say life will give you exactly what you want, but it will also give you a huge distraction to see if you're going to fuck up what you want.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good one. I only read that recently and I was like, that's so true. Because whatever you do want, you can go, but there's going to be a distraction that's going to come and you're going to go, whether it's drink or whether it's drugs, whether it's women or whatever it is. It's very easy to get distracted. Oh yeah. Because life will just put those.
Especially nowadays, everything is so many signals that influence you, and
instant gratification is so easy in any way you want. You want a chocolate bar, you go across the street, or you want this thing, you can more or less go out and buy it, or it's all just there at your fingertips a lot of the time. Whereas back in the day, you used to have to really, really work for whatever it was, and a lot of the things now are quite easy to get. Not everything, obviously, but a lot of things are.
You talk about instant gratification. That's what we're all suffering from sometimes, right? That's why I love reading about these things that take time, but if you see the technical approach behind it or why you do certain things, that makes it easier. And once you've done something that, when you did it every day a little bit and you've seen some results of it, it does really motivate you to do other things similarly as well.
For sure.
Because that's the only thing you can hold on to, you know. It's like, if I only do 5 or like, let's say 20 push-ups today, that's not going to change my life tomorrow or the day after or the week after or the month after. But if you do that every day
and add one
or even just do the 20, okay, maybe add one, let's say, in half a year, you're jacked.
Totally, dude. Absolutely.
And
like,
it's
the 50, what's it called? 1 month to 50 or whatever. I was never good at doing push-ups. I could only do like 10. So I saw this thing on Instagram or whatever. I screenshotted it and I said, right, let's give this a go. I texted one of my friends in Ireland and said, let's do this, me and you, for a month. I send you a video, you send me a video every day, right? And we're going to do exactly as it says on the chart. And it's tough starting out if you're not good at push-ups. But if you just follow it and force yourself to do it, by the 30th day, not even by the 30th day.
Yeah.
By like the 26th, 27th, and you're on like 47 or whatever, you are banging out 47.
I did that once as well.
It's just so easy because you've done it consistently every single day and you're just adding 1. Next day you might have to add 3. And next day you might only add 1, but it kind of staggers it and gives you a nice little pace to go at. And it's a really eye-opening experience for yourself if you're a kind of person who's never really pushed themselves and never really had a lot of adversity.
And it shows results from small increments every day. Makes a
push-ups will make you jacked, man. Make your shoulders huge, your chest big, everything. Like. So
I can't do proper push-ups anymore, unfortunately.
Put your gloves on, just.
Yeah, but it makes push-ups a lot harder as well. So then you have to.
Go, like, I don't want to hear the excuses.
I
don't want to hear the excuses.
It's frustrating. You go from being able to do 50, 60 after you've been training like that for a month to, if you do it on your knuckles, back to 20.
20, yeah.
And
I find the padding actually quite nice in the gloves.
I don't mind the knuckles.
Yeah.
It's because it's a different muscle, like your triceps instead of more shoulder and biceps.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story.
Tough.
Yeah. Cool. Let's do a few more. Actually,
hit me.
What is the best advice you ever been given?
The best advice I've ever been given. Be brutally honest with yourself and accept responsibility for your actions. Because it's something I ran away from for the majority of my adult life. And it's only in the last couple of years where I really picked it up and was brutally honest with myself about the actions I was doing and the things that I was doing, hurting people along the way and stuff like that, and then not taking responsibility for it by either lying about it, just outright lying about it. I'm getting really good at that.
Coming up with excuses.
And just coming up with excuses and silly things like that.
That's a really good one. That's one of the reasons I stopped drinking 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, you really have to accept responsibility for what you're doing, what you're saying. And that's a problem with like social media, because people will just say whatever they want to people on social media. Like Mike Tyson says, everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face, right? And the only reason they'll say it is because you're just a little avatar on a screen. If you were in front of them, there's no way they'd argue with you like they do on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or wherever. So you got to accept responsibility for your actions. Like whatever you do has massive ripples out into the world. You might not necessarily see what happens or how the ripples go or where they go. But every interaction you have with somebody, every little decision that you make is steering you in one way or the other. And you have to accept responsibility for that. Like if you say, I'm not drinking, and you don't drink for weeks, and then you go and get hammered, you're like, I messed up. That's my responsibility. Right, back at it tomorrow. Cool. And it's all right to mess up because you're allowed to fail. It's fine to fail about things. Jesus knows I've failed about the majority of things in my life, but that's the whole point. You just fail and keep going,
And is that somebody that gave you that advice?
I picked it up somewhere along the way, but yeah, I had conversations with many of my friends and it was kind of all said in bits and pieces, but it was a huge realization. I was like, this is, from watching videos and lectures on philosophy and trying to figure out why is my life so messed up? How can I make it better? So you listen to people talk about, the problems that you have or whatever, this kind of thing, or you'll find a cool video and you'll be like, that sparks a thing. And you go, all right. So being honest is my number one, core value right now. I think we're very lucky that we live in an age where men are able to sit down and have conversations about look, dude, I got shit going on. And like, my granddad couldn't do that. Like in Ireland, you couldn't turn around to your mate in the pub and say, man, I'm having a really bad time, I'm depressed. Back in the 50s and all that.
Yeah.
But we're lucky, we're like, I tell all my friends I love them. I give everybody hugs. Like, we're very lucky that we live in an age where you can do that. And as a fella, you should have at least one person, one guy you can go talk to about the tough things, because shit gets real sometimes, you know? And if you're alone, it can be really, really tough. I've lost a few friends because suicide and things like that. So, and when those kind of things happen, you go, like, I was there, he could have called me, but it just didn't feel like that. But I do very luckily I've actually a couple of guys like that I can call and just say, look, if I had anything, any problem, doesn't matter how bad or what the topic was or whatever, like I would feel totally comfortable saying whatever it was to them. And then knowing that they haven't changed their opinion of me. And I think that's very valuable. It's a very valuable friendship to have somebody
100%.
like that, you know?
And that's one of the reasons I love the community, like the boxing community we have. We met a few people where we are able to communicate properly and hang out and have proper conversations, you know? And
that's the thing you find with fighters as well, as they get a lot of it out in the gym. So they're really chill people, really relaxed. You get everything out on the bag, and then you're chill after it, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Is that also the advice you would give to anyone if you had to give someone one piece of advice?
One piece of advice. As soon as you're born, you're already in a game that's going to kill you. All the chips are already down on the table. So you might as well play the game as opposed to sitting on the sidelines. Far too many people just, this is good enough for me, or I'll settle for this kind of thing, and play the whole game, or don't even play the whole game. Watch the whole game of life from the sidelines. And we all might do it from time to time, but in the end, you're going to die. So this game is going to kill you. It's best to be playing the game as hard as you can.
It's back to the what if.
Yeah, there's no point in having what's if when you're older. Like, because I wonder what if I did push that a little bit harder. Do it, fail, and go, cool, all right. Or do it, fail, and go, cool, all right, let's go again. Because there's real power in that, realizing that, like, I'm shit at it now, I'm getting better, I'm kind of good, I'm awesome at this, and I'm going to keep going and see where that is. Like,
and then it becomes unconsciously competent.
It becomes how you're wired as well.
Yeah.
It changes how you're wired in your head. You don't care about being bad at something. A lot of people, when they start out, they're like, I can't do that. It's like, you say you can do it or you can't do it. It's the same thing in your head. So you just go do stuff.
Yesterday I read a book, while I was reading my book, it said, life is not made for balance. Nothing new happened in balance. It always happened under extreme conditions.
Chaos that's interesting.
That the importance is counterbalance. So don't get stuck in the extreme. And there's only certain areas where you can go extreme for longer or shorter periods of time. What it said in relationships, you can't go long extreme out of balance. So make sure you can only short times and you go back to balance in relationship, because relationships are different. But there's other parts in your life, like professional life, where you can go into extreme out of balance for longer periods of times, but don't get stuck into it as well, because then you go into the wrong habit side, right? Such as like you overwork and stuff like that. But make sure you have a lifeline back into the balance, but you need to go into the extreme to make a change happen.
Absolutely. The comfort zone is a thing that you must get out of.
Yeah.
And that's like people like us, for example, who are from this part of the world and went, I'm going to live somewhere else. I'm not going on holidays. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone. Because I've lived in New York and Los Angeles and Vancouver, all speak English.
Yeah, same.
And I said, I'm going to go to a country where I don't speak the language. I can't read the language. Just get out of the comfort zone. Because I've always went west, let's go east.
I had the same exact thing with, lived in New Zealand, lived in Australia. Then I had a time up in the north in Scandinavia. And yeah, not everybody spoke English, but there was still like...
bits and pieces.
It's like decent. Then I moved to Vietnam and it was a whole different world. I was like, this is the challenge I need.
Yes.
This is what I want.
Yeah.
It's convenient in many ways, but it's also challenging in many other ways.
Yeah. definitely challenging here. But once you kind of settle into it, you see it for the beauty that it is of organized chaos. You know, you look and see the videos people see online of the streets and like, how do you drive in that? And you're like,
well,
man, I can drive basically not autopilot, but I'm just everything is flow.
Like, for example, a roundabout, you know, you can either go straight to the middle, go around the middle and get out, or you go around the edge, but then you take more people in and out. So it's like this mind.
There's loads of ways you can do it.
And people are like, how the hell do you do? Like, it's not possible. It's like, no.
But you do have to learn it again. That's the thing. You're like, you know how to cross the street, no problem. Try doing that here. Try waiting for the crosswalk here. In the middle of the city.
You just...
You know, if you're back home and you see black, white, you're like, cool, I'll walk here and all the cars will stop. That's what you think. And then you come here and you see them and you're like, why are the cars not stopping? Or why are the bikes not stopping?
Or like the bad habit here is nobody stops to do something. People avoid a certain object, right? So if somebody stops in front of you, you go around it, no matter what. There's always flow. But if you go, like, I'm just scared if I go to a normal country and I do the same thing.
You can't do that in a normal country.
You need to stop.
I had to catch myself, like, I wasn't doing anything bad, obviously, in Ireland, but I was driving my mom's car and
trying to cut off a corner.
No, but you might do. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I remember going something and going, "Whoa, Mark, we're not in Vietnam anymore. Can't do that. Don't do that." You know? Just reminding yourself that things are different elsewhere. So you got to get back into the normalcy of Western life.
Exactly. Yeah. But either way, as far as we're still here, we can roll with the punches.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. What's your favorite quote?
Kind of relates actually since I started boxing. When you do boxing for a period of time, or any martial art, you get a certain confidence that you didn't have before. Now, I've always been a big enough guy, and I'm aware I can, to certain people, look intimidating. So I've had an easy ride through life for the most part. I haven't had many people start with me. I just don't. And I'm just a nice guy as much as I can to people. So I don't really have many things. But when you do start boxing, you get this confidence of like, okay, if something does happen, I can at least either get my head out the way or I can hit them at least one time before I can book it and get out of there, right? Because I've no interest in starting or having a physical altercation with anybody. So I read a quote, and it's a very famous quote, and it says, "It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war."
Dang.
It's a good quote, right?
And it's also very, like, yes, you do it, but you were explaining it with martial arts, but it's very relatable to anything else.
Anything else, yeah.
If you're not, you can better be overqualified in a situation than underprepared.
Absolutely.
In many other things.
Yeah, and that's basically like, it's an ancient quote, so it comes from samurai warriors and stuff like that. They had a sense of you have to be good at everything, and once you find how to be good at one thing, you can find how to be good at everything. Painting and poetry and sword fighting and all these different things. But it's an interesting quote because it is and another quote, the best quote of my entire life is my mom's mantra on how to go through life. And she said 2 words to me growing up all the time. When I'd be an angry teenager, she said, "Mark, be nice." And that was it. That was all she ever said. Be nice. Best piece of advice I ever got. Because that's what I tell all my students at the end of the year. The older ones, I give them a nice little going away speech, a little handout with some nice little 4 agreements on it for yourself, da-da-da-da. But I always put at the end of it, I'm like, and the best piece of advice I can give you is from my mom. And it's simply to be nice.
That's nice.
Because it's way more easy to be nice than it is to be nasty. And it takes twice as much energy as to be nasty as it does to be nice. So just...
yeah, the results will be way better than...
Your life is so much better, dude. I know people who you ask them and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm an asshole." I'm like, what are you saying? You're intentionally an asshole? You're intentionally going around like trying to piss people off? That's so out of the realm of possibility.
Like, why would you?
It's crazy. So that's my best piece of advice for you. Be nice.
I will. Thank you so much.
No problem, my friend. It was a pleasure. I had great fun. Really good fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do it again sometime.
I think we can keep going as well, but I guess we need to stop somewhere, huh?
Yeah, we gotta go stop somewhere, all right. What time is it? Oh yeah, good time.
Yeah. I'll link your Instagram and Facebook down below for the people that want to follow you.
Cool.
Because I know you on your stories.
Don't link my Facebook, they won't even fucking see it.
Okay, my Instagram.
Just my Instagram, that's it. And that's because I've been talking about it, so I'm like, look, if you want to talk to me, the only place you're going to get me is Instagram.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And what you always do, you post these wholesome videos or these fun videos or these cool videos. And so, like, I'm also, like, going to your story and, like...
I'm always going to try make somebody laugh or make somebody feel good with my stories, and there's certain people I follow that I love their content and I love posting it because they're helping people. So and I get a lot of messages about those ones actually as well. They're the ones that people message me the most. And some people message me and they say, oh, well, why is he recording it for social clout? And I'm like, he's actually not. What he does, this particular guy, Murph's Life, he gets people to donate $1 or 5 cents or 10 cents or whatever they can, and he takes 100% of it and then goes and employs a community to build a house for somebody who's homeless with 3 kids or something like that, who's never had a home. And so I'll post stuff like that because there's so many... You can open up any single social media and just be bombarded with stuff that you don't need to see because you can't fix. Yeah. Right? It's things in all over the world, bad things that are happening, and we're not designed to take all that negative information in. So I just try, share some stuff that will make you smile or make you laugh or make you go, whoa, people are doing cool stuff. So that's it.
You're doing a good job, man.
Thanks, brother. See you at the gym.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out there. I'll sit there.
No.
Yeah.